Okay, looks like we're live. Let me know if you can hear me and see me well. You should see me. Just to let those of you who are watching as a recording, in the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna say hello to everyone and see who's here, and then we're gonna start the live stream. Yeah, that's what we do usually. So if you're watching it as a recording, you might want skip the first 10 minutes. Okay, who have we got here? We've got Spock 2024. We've got Ant H. We've got Endurorama, Alan P. Yeah, it looks like the chat has got, they've changed, YouTube has changed things, got different colors for the different people on the chat, which maybe helps a little bit. I don't know if you guys noticing that. Maybe it's just for me, but all the different handles are in different colors. Sandy Anderson from Denmark, Gurvandeep Singh, Uncle Robbie, can't smell me, Edward Diaz says. I'll just wait for more of you to come on. I have to tell you guys something. Yeah, we've only got 101 so far, so it's still a little early. So we're going to talk about the headline. I mean, the title for this live stream is UK retail bank deposits under threat from plan to tear down Ringfence. We're not just going to cover this, of course, but I have to pick something that I think is significant, and I think that is significant because, yeah, it can impact people's accounts. Something's going on here. What? Excellent connection. Okay. Something is wrong here. Yeah, I had a problem with my my chat. It froze, so I had to exit the live stream from my side. It looks like it's fine now. Yeah, I think there's I don't know what happened there. Yeah, now there's 327. Yeah, for some reason that my page behind the scenes was stuck. So sorry about that. I don't know what went on there. Uncle Robbie says happy Sunday live stream. We've got Captain Banana, Mickey from Southwest Florida, Jillian B from Perthshire, Belly Dance Arabia, Baby Hurley from Ohio, Rick from Connecticut, Kieran Valab Honig from the Netherlands, Faustino Rocha from Rhode Island, Hy Taylor from Somerset, Nasser Siaf, sorry, BCA Smith, Carlos Garcia, 19 Fit 4 from Texas, Yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys, you probably noticed Billy's not here. And Billy's not well, unfortunately. He's 14 and a half. He's with my wife in the other room. He hasn't been eating well. He did go to the vets on Wednesday, and we're giving him some medicine, but he's not eating well, and we're going back tomorrow. And to be honest, we'll see what happens, but he's not himself. He's having problems breathe. So I just wanted to warn you guys that, yeah, unfortunately, let's hope for the best, but it doesn't look good for Billy. Um, I hope he gets well soon, but he's getting on. He's lost his vision for the last 12 months, so he hasn't had that great of a life. And right now yeah, haven't even been able to take him for a walk. So just wanted to let you know that. Yeah, Billy Airways. Yeah, that was a good one. That's right. A normal norm. Yeah, no one lives forever, not even pets. Um, yeah, 14 and a half, Hank. Yeah, he's a good age. If we go to CBDC, will there be a need for local banks? Well, I think if someone commented the other day, I've made a couple of videos about CBDC with Clive Thompson, and they've noted that the Bank of England paper says that they're going to run cash together. I don't think banks have to go away just because of the CBDC. They might hold CBDCs, the banks, just like they hold the current fiat currency. So doesn't necessarily, I don't think the central banks would want to get involved with retail clients. But and yeah, I know CBDC is a way to more and more control, authoritarian control, and I've talked about that with Clive, 2 videos which done really well. But I like to say as well, there is, in my opinion, a way to fight against the CBDCs, and that's to try to politically expose the central banks for what they are, because if we don't get rid of central banks, we can't get rid of CBDCs, because central banks are central bank digital currencies, and we have to expose central banks for what they are. They are monopolies that are really, yeah, they're not like free, and then they're not part of the free market. If you look at the Communist Manifesto, the planks of the Communist Manifesto, one of them is centralized credit, which is central banking. So we need to educate people, and that's the reason why I've been doing my videos for the last 6 years. And yeah, so I haven't been covering too much of what's going on politically in the last few months, because I think the main purpose of this channel, the way I can help the most, is to try to make people aware how the monetary system works, so that you can be financially independent, hopefully, and so that you can fight these people. I know who my enemy is, and I want to show you that I know who the enemy is, because I saw that Elon Musk tweeted that his 2 pronouns are prosecute and Fauci. He tweeted that today. So I wanted to show you this. I bought this last year from InfoWars. So that's how I feel. Maybe I don't talk too much about it, but there you go. That's the t-shirt I got last year. So Joko Alpha, what does the BIS say? 65, I think it's 85 trillion. Well, these are all derivatives that are outside the banking system. They're in the shadow banking system, and they just found it. I mean, there's probably even more there. And usually derivatives are traded off balance sheet. That's why it's so hard to keep track of them. And they're traded in the over-the-counter market. Unlike futures that are traded on on exchanges, and the data is like published every day, and it's public data. Over the counter is like banks, shadow banking institutions, hedge funds. They trade and they don't report to anyone. So, you know, and that was the whole problem in 2008. All the old over-the-counter credit default swaps that brought everything down, including Lehman, and they didn't fix anything. And this is a good segue into the title of this live stream today, which is UK retail bank deposits under threat from plan to tear down Ringfence. So before I start, I'd just like to thank Gurvandeep Singh for your super chat. Your views on Chinese Saudi oil 4U1 deal. Well, I think it's part of what I've been talking for the last 5 years or so. It's a move away from the petrodollar, and you just have to go to my Mike and Mario video. Super chat. Hold on a second. Let me bring up the Mike and Mario. I'll put a link for you to that video, and we spoke about it. We cover that topic. Let me just get the link. Give me a second. Here we go. Yeah, so this is the Mike and Mario show. I published it yesterday on my channel. It's China, Saudi, and Gulf nations abandon dollar for oil and gas trade. So I think it's very significant. So here's the link. There you go. So yeah, ring fence. What does that mean? Well, back in the early 30s, after the stock market crash, and they created the SEC. I think it was 1933, and they also had the what was the act that divided investment banking from commercial banking. No, hold on, I forgot. Let me bring it up. It was, and they Bill Clinton repealed that act. Oh yeah. Yeah, the Glass-Steagall in the US, Glass-Steagall was passed in, I think it was in the early 30s. And so it separated investment banking from commercial banking, because a lot of banks in 1929 and then up until 1933, a lot of banks were involved not just in taking deposits from the public, but they used that money to speculate, and that created huge problems. So they passed Glass-Steagall to basically separate investment banking from commercial banking. And they did the same thing in the UK in 2008, after the collapse of 08, when the government and, well, we had as taxpayers had to bail out the banks. They passed laws to ring fence so if Barclays investment banking arm was separate from Barclays commercial banking arm, so that they can't utilize our deposits to speculate. But what's Cupid Stunt, thank you for your super chat. Get Billy a bit of chicken. Unfortunately, Billy is not eating that well. That's the thing. That's the problem. Usually he eats really well. But anyway, let's move on to why I think UK bank deposits, retail bank deposits, could be in danger. And I mean, we already know that the system is fragile, but this should raise alarms. And I think this is one of the most important news that's come out this week. Of course, everyone's following other things like the World Cup and Meghan and Harry, but that's why I'm here, to see what I think is important, so that to help you guys, hopefully. So city set for boost as Hunt. So Hunt is the Chancellor of the Exchequer now, loosens financial services rulebook Chancellor launches forms amid warnings. UK will become riskier place to do business. So this is the part here that I think is worrying. It says Hunt is removing the cap on bankers bonuses, while ring-fence rules intended to separate risky investment banking from retail operations will be relaxed. And they say that it's to help retail folks focus banks. That's rubbish. That all that will do is that will put retail deposits in peril. And the other thing as well, the bankers' bonuses, they're going to remove the cap. That means that bankers are going to go crazy because, you know, prior to this, they didn't really speculate. Well, they did, but there was like, why should I try to make millions for the bank if my bonus is going to be capped? So these two things have just made the UK banking system less sound, the currency less sound. And you had Jeremy Hunt, when he gave out his autumn budget recently, he said that he believed in sound money, but he's doing the exact opposite. The encouraging thing, or maybe some people are warning because they know, like this guy here, Sir John Vickers, who chaired an independent commission on banking, wrote in the Financial Times this week that the secondary objective was either pointless or dangerous. So yeah, there's a lot of people warning about this, but it looks like it is going to go through. It's another reason to have some physical precious metals, gold and silver, outside the system. And how much you should have is for you to decide. Each individual and each family has different, different outlooks on things. But I think it's just good to have it as an insurance. So I think this is really important. It could happen in other countries as well, but they're just doing it here. Keep an eye on that for the US as well. Or you want to link me to link the article? I will. Hold on a second. I'll put it under archive.ph. So if you don't subscribe to the FT, you can read it. Hold on, let me get it. I deleted it because I'd gone through it, but I'll get it back. Let's go. Here we go. All right, I got the link now, the free link, and I'm gonna put it up on the chat. There we go. Mara, BIS 80 trillion missing in balance sheet. Does that mean most banks will cause bail-ins? Well, first of all, these 80 trillion are derivatives. So derivatives are not on the balance sheet. And second, these 80 trillion are not in banks. So they're not even in the banks. They're in like asset managers and what they call shadow banking. Yeah, it could affect banks. Indirectly, it could affect banks because a lot of the banks, they lend to the shadow banking institutions, and it could all unravel. There's like a daisy chain. So it's very dangerous. And it could be a lot more than 80 trillion. That's what the BIS has found so far. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg, to be honest. And the World Economic Forum, yeah, and the Fed as well. It's been snowing here this evening, just to let you know, which is unusual for London. Normal Norm thinks Wall Street style protests coming to UK. Yeah, MW351, that's the only way to end CBDCs is hopefully. The other thing that I don't think the central banks nor the powers that be expected, especially Ben Bernanke, who's been pushing QE for 20 years, money printing, They didn't expect the interest rate environment to change so quickly, and what that has done, it's put a load of pressure on the central bank's balance sheets. They're all losing billions and billions of dollars. I saw the other day the Central Bank of Belgium has had losses for the first time in like 75 years. So yes, technically they can't go bankrupt. But what can happen is that the currencies could collapse because the currency is supposed to be backed by the central bank's balance sheet. And if the central bank's balance sheets start looking like rubbish, well, they already are. Yeah, you could see people get out of the currency, especially the big money at first. And the Federal Reserve is highly leveraged, like 200 to 1. So there you go. Yeah, there are lots of strikes in the UK. I mean, another interesting article that I saw this evening just before I came on about the weather here. And it just goes to show, because I wanted to talk about this. I don't know if many of you watched my interview with Steve Santangelo of the SRS Rocco report about the energy cliff. I'm really glad I spoke to him, because I think it's not just the inflationary money printing that is a problem, but also the energy is a big factor, I think. And I think we're going to have a cocktail, a disastrous cocktail where the energy infrastructure is going down because they're going for this net zero agenda. And at the same time, they're going to print loads of money, and that's going to create a disaster in terms of inflation, I think. So here we go. Power prices surge to record high as cold snap hits. Gas props up supplies as weather conditions depress renewables. So they want us to go into renewables and give up on gas and oil. But I was just reading here that it hasn't been windy here in the UK. And of course, we don't have any sun because it's snowing and it's been cold. So the production of electricity from wind is going down. As you can see here, the wind generation has gone down from 28.5% to 5%. So can you imagine maybe 10 years, 15 years from now, we don't have any more gas or oil, and we have something like that? These people are crazy, or they're both crazy and stupid, I think, to do that. So there you go. So there is a danger. Here's the National Grid chief saying there's risk of rolling blackouts on those deepest, darkest evening in January and February. So luckily right now, everything's fine. So I thought that was an interesting article. Yeah, it's all about energy. Energy is very important, Nancy. I agree with you. But also gold and silver, because as Steve Santangelo said, in paper assets, investable assets like stocks and bonds, they're going to suffer completely. And a lot of wealthy people, a lot of investors are going to turn to gold and silver and even commodities, real assets. And that's, and right now there's not much. Precious metals are only 0.5% of investable assets. But also I think natural gas, energy, uranium, there's a lot of other things, and even base metals, because even though I'm not a believer in this climate change agenda, a lot of companies are going with it, ESG, and even electric cars and everything. Even if people don't, I see that in the states like Texas and others are going against ESG, but I don't think we'll be able to stop it completely. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to benefit from it, and we might as well benefit from it. I'm not saying that we should support these people, but you might as well do it. Yeah, Alan says Texas, big wind farms, but no wind during big freeze. Yeah, I remember that. The dollar will use the last of its value really quickly. Well, I think the dollar over the next few years, especially with what we heard in Saudi Arabia, Xi Jinping said that the Gulf countries now are going to start selling the oil in yuan and trading through the Shanghai Energy Exchange. Over the next few years, these countries are not going to need as many dollars, because what's the point of having dollar reserves if you don't have to use it? So when these dollars are going to be usually in treasuries, so they're going to sell them, get the cash, and the cash is going to go back to the States, and that's going to create inflation. That's what happened with the UK around just after World War One, World War II, when Britain lost its place as as an empire and the major reserve currency. A lot of the sterling balances came home, and that's why there was inflation in the UK. That's why the pound has been on a downward trend, because, excuse me, basically that's because people were selling the pound. They didn't need it anymore. And the same thing is going to happen to the dollar. The dollar is not going to go away, but it's just not going to be as much of a weapon for the US, because people are not going to use it. And it's not going to be by as much, but there are upsides to it. For Americans, it means they'll have to earn their way in the world, i.e. they will have to export as much as you import, and that's all. Robert Canahan, Larry Fink for Guantanamo, and also maybe Stephen Schwartzman of Blackstone. Can you explain how Saudi accept Chinese yuan, bypass King dollar? Well, they just accept yuan. That's how you do it, because the Chinese are also going to be investing in they're going to help build a lot of projects in Saudi Arabia. So I guess what the Saudis are going to be doing, they're going to sell the oil to the Chinese, get the yuan, and use the yuan to pay Chinese companies who are going to be doing work in Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying I agree with it, but they have that line city that they started building already. That's apparently going to cost $1 trillion worth, or it will cost 7 trillion yuan. And I'm sure that's going to be the way the money is going to flow. Yeah, well, Ghana buying a barrel of oil for a gram of gold. I mean, I think Ghana also has oil, but it probably imports oil. Actually, I was looking at some numbers yesterday, actually, and just to give you an idea of how things are going in terms of up to last Friday. So silver actually is up 0.84% year to date. That's silver. Gold is down 1.7%. Crude oil is up 3.56%. But what's interesting, if you look at the financial assets, the 10-year note is down 12.5%. The 2-year note is down 5.7%. The Dow is down 0.788. S&P is down 14.5. NASDAQ is down about 30 points. And and Bitcoin is down 63.6%. So just wanted to put that out there. Wrote it down on my sheet of paper here. Andrew Bell, we should not go along with their new terminology of climate change instead of global warming, as we can now see the hockey stick of increasing temperatures. Now, yeah, I know. They keep changing it, don't they? It's just a climate religion, I would say. That's what it is. Hank McGurk, how much did America just donate to the Ukraine? Well, quite a few billion, I guess, or tens of billion. But that's just going to come. That's just coming back to the military industrial complex. That's what you have to understand. That's not going into the. That's not staying the Ukraine, unfortunately. That shouldn't have gone there and in the first place. That's what I'm trying to say. Canada donated $1 trillion. Michael O'Toole, the UK government bringing out visitors tax in the UK. Yeah, I think what it is like if you're a tourist, you could like claim the VAT back, the 20%, which we here pay for everything. So yeah, so it doesn't really mean anything. Well, it means that as a tourist, you can't claim back the VAT. Elizabeth Williams, anyone see Italian Prime Minister talking about France's control of currency in Africa? Well, I'm not even sure that France is in control of the Central African franc. I think that's the monetary authorities in those countries that issue the Central African franc, and it's called a franc because they used to be a French colony, but I don't really think the French are in charge of printing that. The problem is that I would say to the people of the Central African republics, whatever those countries are, that they should give up on that. They should, maybe do their own gold currency, but then France would probably invade them. That's the problem. Daniel says gold either going to 1750 or 1830 this week. Mary, do you wish you were younger with what we're facing today in the future, or do you feel it's an adventure being older? I don't think like that. I just am who I am, and at this juncture, I can't change that. And if I was younger, I probably wouldn't be aware of a lot of the things that I've learned. I've never had really much respect for politicians, even when I was younger. But it was only like in my mid-30s that I started to looking more into free markets. I always thought it was the right way. No, I'm okay with the way things are. Joe Rogan wears Omega watches instead of Rolex, Joker Alpha. Yeah, some people like Omegas as well. There's a lot of nice watches out there. And I saw that Joe Biden has an Omega and a Rolex. And I think Trump has Rolexes, Patek Philippe's, and others. So they're not doing too badly. Carlos Garcia, who has the power to revalue gold, silver bypassing COMEX? Well, I spoke about that, I think it was a guy from Credit Suisse, Zoltan, said that Putin could start selling Urals oil for gold grams. And yeah, that would put a spanner amongst that would put a spanner in the works for the bullion banks, because people would want physical to buy that oil, and that would unravel the whole paper game that the bullion banks play. Because you have to understand that gold and silver are traded like a current foreign exchange, and the foreign exchange market is highly leveraged, and that's how they trade gold and silver. That's why they don't see it as manipulation, but people who actually buy real gold and silver, yeah, I think it's part of the corrupt fractional reserve system. It just goes to show that gold and silver are money and currency, But yeah, they will get their comeuppance. I mean, the central banks, they could also, when they need to, they will make sure that the bullion banks close out their shorts. They'll call in the leases, and they'll revalue the price, just like FDR did. FDR, of course, he at the time there wasn't any that people didn't trade gold like they did today because there's the gold standard. He had to shut, you know, passed the Gold Confiscation Act, and he had to bring in as much gold as possible and then revalue it. So yes, so it just goes to show that whenever they want to revalue it, they'll have to close their shorts because they want the gold, because and then they'll revalue it. I don't know how they'll do it. They'll have to do it through the market, maybe over a weekend, Sunday to Monday, and it will go up $500 in probably one day, and then keep going up 500. And those people who haven't bought physical, they won't be able to get any, and paper won't mean anything. So that's why I always say you need to have physical. SoCal Silver, thank you for your super chat. Are your utilities up significantly or just slightly so far this winter? Plenty of nat gas available for UK citizens? No, our reserves of nat gas are very low, unlike the ones in continental Europe. Yeah, our bills have gone up. I think we were paying about 200 pounds a month for gas and electricity. Now it's up to 300. So yeah, it's gone up quite a bit. And it would have gone up more if the government hadn't put a cap on the price. So with the cold weather, that cap is going to cost the government and the taxpayer a lot more. So yeah, there's a lot of people who are going to suffer. Luckily, I can afford the gas and electricity, especially the last week. It's been very cold. Usually we have a timer on for the central heating, but in the last week we've had it on all the time because it's cold. Charles Patterson, have you seen the Whitney Webb interview on the Jimmy Dore show? Yeah, actually, my wife was watching it this evening. I'm aware of all the things that she was talking about, Whitney Webb. And yeah, I've been looking at all these things for over 20 years. So about 15, 20 years ago, my wife used to think I was crazy because I was listening to this kind of stuff. But now she's waking up and she does the listening of that. And I focus on you guys and the markets and what I think is happening and how we can protect ourselves. But yeah, Whitney Webb, I mean, she's great. The research she does, she connects the dots. She's really a good researcher. I have a few more things here I wanted to talk about. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Where did it all go? Here. Oh yeah. Don't know if you guys remember. I went to Zurich for the Precious Metals Summit conference, and I met a director of a company called American Lithium, and he was a very nice guy. They're based out of Toronto, and they have properties in Nevada and in Peru. And he called me the other day and he said, just to chat. And then I had a look at the chart, and I think this looks very bullish. It's one of the very few lithium plays in the United States, and the U.S. is trying to move away from depending on the Chinese supply chain for lithium. So I think this could be a good speculation. Am I telling you guys to buy it? No. This is the company. It's on the Toronto Exchange. You can look, the Venture Exchange, American Lithium. And it's also traded OTC in the US. The ticker code is LIACF. I bought some on Friday, and this is like a breakout here. So I think it's quite significant. I think on Friday, because this starts from Thursday, on Friday, it went above 2 and came back down, and it actually closed around here on Friday. So it's still breaking out, I think. And am I saying this is a dead certainty? No, but I bought a little bit. And the other thing I would say, right now it's in the OTC, but the guy from American Lithium, he called me, he said, if we're able to close above 2 on the OTC market in the US for 5 straight days, they will put us in the NASDAQ. So it looks interesting, and just wanted to show you guys that American Lithium. And I might even speak to one of their directors on the channel to talk a little more about the company. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to move the channel as well. Not just also give you some of the things, tell you what I'm doing, because yes, I'm holding to my stack, but I think it's an interesting time as well to speculate. Am I saying you should leverage and mortgage your house like Michael Saylor said? No, these are for people who have experience in investing. So I think American Lithium is an interesting play. Oh, the other thing about this company, they have a uranium property that they want to divest from because they want to be a pure lithium play. So if you own their shares, you could get a dividend, or you could get shares in the new company that has uranium. So you get like a 2-for-1, so to speak. Grow Mechanic says, I'm buying silver and gold only physical. Oh yeah, me too. But I think the miners are interesting, and energy as well. I'm going to look into natural gas as well. I think that's going to be something that will do well in the next few years. So I'm going to look at some companies there, and then I'll let you guys know what I'm looking at. Vin Diesel says Clive thinks, yeah, that he thinks personal ownership will continue. He didn't talk about you own nothing. The thing about that, you own nothing. Yeah, I think already a lot of people don't own anything these days. A lot of people are up to here in debt. If you work out your balance sheet, you might have some equity, but if the markets, so am I saying I don't think they're trying to do that to us? No, but I think there are ways for people to own something, and that's why I've been trying to like give my opinion out there that you need to get out of debt. You need to save in gold and silver, and it's worked out since I started doing making these videos, and hopefully you won't be one of those people who will own nothing, because I don't think it's possible for them to do that. As Rafi Faber says, the Tower of Babel thing, they want to have control over the world. They'll never be able to do that, I don't think. So that's the way I see it. 15 ounces of gold for a Rolex Yacht Master. I don't like that Rolex Yacht Master. 15 ounces of gold, yeah, that's quite a bit. No, I wouldn't do that. Someone is Wim van Erde. Greetings from Belgium. Hi, Wim. Maybe 15 ounces of gold for, let's see, a Patek Philippe Grand Complications. That I would probably exchange that for. But yeah, I like watches, but I think there are more important things at the moment that we need to focus on. Uh, Mario, what do you think E.B. Tucker's company Metallica? I haven't looked into it, and I'm not a fan of E.B. Tucker, to be honest. But anyway, when do I think cash will be gone? Well, um, I'm sure they're going to try really hard to bring in CBDCs, and they have in countries like Sweden. There's no more cash, but and even here, you still have cash, but sometimes, I use my debit card, but it's hard to say. The Bank of England paper said that cash will, be used along with the CBDC. And that's if they succeed in bringing in the CBDC. I don't know if they will succeed in bringing in the CBDC. Um, I don't really have much to say about XRP. I don't. I think Clive spoke about XRP, and he said he read the white paper, and he thinks it's just it's not really something that will. It's just a technology the bankers will use for the CBDC, but the XRP coin doesn't mean it's going to go to the moon. I wouldn't. I mean, there's too many people always focusing on XRP. Meta Muppet, you were asking about E.B. Tucker? No, I don't know. I mean, my wife listened to him the other day, and she said she didn't like him. What he was saying, he said, "Oh, you should own treasuries," and anyone who says you should own treasuries, I'm not really a fan of. Because by buying treasuries or gilts, you're financing the people who are trying to install CBDCs. So, and I also saw that he's got a company that is involved in this net carbon scam. So I don't like that really. Net carbon, net zero, and buying treasuries. It doesn't seem like a contrarian or someone who's like trying to help the general public. Who knows? Or maybe he is a salesman. I don't know. But I've heard of E.B. Tucker, but uh, only recently did I hear about him because my wife said, "Oh, this guy is like, I don't know. He's saying these things." So there you go. I don't want to. Everyone has their opinion. Play the game. Do you think learning foreign exchange is a smart move? Um, well, foreign exchange is a highly speculative market. Prior to 1973, people didn't trade foreign exchange because currencies were backed by real money, by gold, and they were fixed. Like foreign exchange is like trading the inch every second, and the length of the inch changing. It would make the world really a mess to measure things. So hopefully the foreign exchange market will be gone, the way it's traded as speculative will be gone. But, and I think it's a very insiders market. The banks control it, and people around the banks control that market. I wouldn't, as a retail investor, I wouldn't get involved trading it short term. I think it's very dangerous and leveraged. That's what I have to say about that. Talbot chimes upon Thames. Glint has some major issues arising, Mario. I haven't really looked into that. But what are you hearing, Talbot? Mario, a Patek Philippe Aquanaut is equivalent to 50 ounces of gold. Yeah, I think that's out of my league. Tom, a question from Tom A. What are your thoughts on the 100-year cycles? 2020 cerveza flu, Spanish flu, cholera, plague. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There's also, I think Charles Nenner talks about the year, a war cycle as well. Roaring 20s is possible, I guess. But I think it will only be possible if, yeah, I think it could be, but it would be more like an inflationary, if when the Fed pivots and start and maybe cuts rates and does QE again, we could have a booming stock market, but it would be roaring, but not for everyone. So it's possible, but I think it will be a roaring 20s for hard assets, not for stocks. Yeah, I'll look into Glint. I haven't heard from Glint or anything. Meta Muppet, treasuries have rebounded. Interest rates have come off, and they'll probably rebound a bit more. But I think not just in a philosophical, ethical sense. I don't want to finance the government, the deep state, or even the deep state in the UK. But the other thing I think about holding treasuries for the long term, it's a losing proposition because they need to keep inflating, and that's going to hurt treasury prices. I think the 40-year bear market in yields or interest rates or bull market in prices is over. 81 to 2020, 39 years. So for the next 38 years, I think the trend is up. Yes, there's going to be ups and downs, and I think we could have a down in yields right now, but I wouldn't get involved. I want to own hard assets. I want to own things that, companies that produce these assets as well, honest companies that produce real things. I don't want to finance speculation and government spending and socialism. That's what you're financing, socialism as well. And also the military industrial complex. And you're also financing the Ukraine. That's all these things. Graham Hobbs. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against people trying to make a living, but I do it too through my channel. But I'm not gonna, like promote Pfizer or like net zero and all those things. Yes, I guess the ESG agenda helps, like some hard assets, some commodities, because people are going to use more and more, like lithium, for example, for batteries. But even if you didn't have electric cars, a lot of things nowadays have batteries that need lithium batteries for mobile phones, computers. So either way, I think that's going to do well. And yeah. And H, can they confiscate your gold and bullion vault? Of course they could. Of course they could, don't forget Bullion Vault. I think the Rothschilds invested in Bullion Vault about 10 years ago or so. I wouldn't trust personally Bullion Vault. That's the way I see it. And I know a lot of people use Bullion Vault. Well, I opened an account with Bullion Vault back in 2005 or 6. before the Rothschilds invested in it. But yeah, I don't, they have a limit on how much gold, I called them last year, and the guy said, well, you keep asking how much can I take out? And he said, we're only a storage, we're supposed to be a storage thing, not for buying gold and silver. And I didn't like that answer from the guy. So that's what I have to say about that. Uh, Robert says I need to grow some food. Yeah, I don't have much of a big garden, but I'm quite close to the countryside. I've got silver, so I can barter with farmers, hopefully. Yeah, interstitial. Yeah, I don't, I think carbon credits are like a scam. Well, it's almost like having credit on air. Pretty soon they're going to have oxygen credits. So you will only be able to go outside and breathe fresh air if you buy oxygen credits. And that's the way I see the carbon credit. And I think this climate agenda is a total, as I said, SCAM. But I guess Doug Casey and those guys, I can understand why they get involved because they're probably going to make a lot of money. But I draw the line. It's like hopefully I'll make money in some other part, some other sector. Joker Alpha finance YouTubers are saying not to get on leverage for the next 12 months. Are you hearing worse to come in 2023? Well, I always tell people that you have to be careful with leverage. When I traded gold futures back in the early 2000s, I think it's gone already again. Yeah, I've got a problem here. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I've lost my my chat. I'm trying to get back in here. I don't know. I've never had this problem. It's weird. Okay, here we are. Yeah, you can hear me, but I couldn't see your comments. The Federal Reserve needs a power outage. Yeah. Dissident agnostic, thank you for your super chat. Do you think is a realistic chance that retail bank deposits will be frozen by the BOE? I don't know if the Bank of England can freeze the deposits, but certainly you could have a bail-in, and especially with this with the chancellor looking to loosen regulations, not just the bonus cap, but also the ring fence between investment banking and retail banking. I think that's really dangerous. I think, for example, I wouldn't be comfortable leaving, anything too big in the bank. Even the up to 85,000, I don't think that's going to be, just leave it as little as possible. Unfortunately, sometimes because of, let's say inheritance, like someone in the family dies and you get a big inheritance, it's going to be in the bank. There's not much you can do there. But I guess that's why I like, if I were to get 200,000 from someone, I would convert that quickly into gold and leave maybe 20,000 in the bank. That's the way I see it. So yeah, they could do that, and I wouldn't put anything past them. So Rumpelstiltskin, but you will have no money. Well, the only money really that you can have is like this. This is a crown. This is a really solid coin. It's like they're like Victoria crowns. Yeah, this is like the dollar. Look at the sound. That's money, a Rumpel. What to do with premium bonds? Take them out? Well, premium bonds are just, you're lending to the government there. It's the old, if you want to finance what they're doing to us, keep it there. But I personally, I think my daughter had some premium bonds when she was younger, but we bought her, we liquidated that and got her some sovereigns later on. That's what I would do. The Amish are interesting, but they have their problems as well. The Amish. Someone from Australia lost $579,000 from Bank. Well, the thing is, legally, as at least in the UK and the US, when you leave your money with a bank, it's actually you giving the bank an unsecured loan, so it's not yours really. Let's see here. We got 7 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I had a bit of pound in my savings. I had quite a bit, but only for tax. So I have done my tax return already, and I've paid the tax man. So that's gone. Because sometimes it's tempting because you put money away for your taxes because I'm self-employed, and it's tempting not to spend it. So it's due at the end of January, but I paid it already. I don't, I just want to. Oh, one thing that Clive said, if there is like a reset, if you have a tax bill, they're going to convert that tax into the new currency. So it's going to be harder to pay it off. So what he said is that if you have a tax bill and you haven't paid it yet, pay with this bad money that we have right now, if you can. Sandy Anderson, stacking food. Um, no, but not in the sense of prepping, but my wife and my wife especially, she freezes a lot of stuff, and I know, I guess if the power goes out, you can't, but no, we don't do, no, I'm more, I'm not a prepper, to be honest, but I am aware of things that, could go bad. I try to focus more on keeping financially sound so that I will be able to survive, even when prices go up. That's what I try to do. I think I do better like that. I don't think it would be productive. I got to focus with what I'm good at. So that's the way I look at it. Some people are better. I have a friend who has a bigger garden. He has chickens and he grows stuff, but I'm not like that. So I stick to what I know. Would I interview Whitney Webb? Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, I haven't thought about it. Is she on YouTube? And yeah, she was interviewed by Jimmy Dore. Yeah. The yeah, Robert Cannon, take care, Mary. I will pray for Billy. I love him. Feel like he's part of my family. Yeah, maybe some of you who have come later on the live stream, Billy's not very well, unfortunately. We're taking him to the vet tomorrow to see how he's doing. We went to the vets on Wednesday. He had an x-ray and a blood test. The vet said everything was okay, but he hasn't improved. So we'll have to see. I think the other thing about prepping, and I spoke to Star Path Academy. He went through very high inflation in Romania in the 90s. And he said, just buying things that you need, like when you go out, instead of buying just one deodorant, buy five, or if instead of buying one bag of toilet rolls, just buy three. Just do little things like that, because I remember in Brazil in the late 80s, I was there when they had a currency collapse. And yeah, the shelves were empty and it was difficult to get things, but it didn't last very long. That's all I can say. Yeah. Yeah, he's not on the couch. He's in the kitchen with my wife. He's not doing well. He's not breathing properly. He's not eating very well. So yeah, let's see what happens. Vin Diesel says Australian credit unions have been changing their names to banks in recent years. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, bail-in laws. Yeah, it could be. That's a good point. Thank you, Raymondo. So we got a couple of minutes. I'll take more questions if you want to ask more questions. Yeah, everything, energy. He has been taking antibiotics. The vet gave him antibiotics. The problem is, she said, you have to give it to him with food. In the last two days or so, he hasn't been eating that much, which is surprising because he always eats really well. Whiskey, yeah, whiskey is a good thing. I think fine wine is good as well. I remember when the lockdown started, I bought some Italian wine, and I think the price has gone through the roof, but I drank, we drank most of it, but anyway. I got it, I think, with I got like an airdrop of Hive coins. And someone came on the live stream and said, Mario, you've got 2,000 Hive coins, which is worth, I think, almost $3,000. And so I took some of that and bought some fine wine. Yeah, blast from the past. He has lived a long, good life, Billy. He's 14 and a half. And yeah, that's how things go. Yes, Sam, that's what the vet said, but he hasn't improved. Oh, Rumpelstiltskin. I also like the one about the dog in Japan that I forgot his name. When his owner died, wouldn't he waited for him for years at the train station. I forgot his name now. That was a really good story. Okay, I think yeah, we'll call it a day now. It's 10 o'clock. Thank you everyone for showing up, and have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great Monday, Rumpelstiltskin, who's in Japan. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Bye. Oh yeah, it was the Shiba Inu at the station. Hachiko? I think it was Hachiko, his name. What do you think? Interview Max Kaiser. No, oh yeah, I watched that. Max, that was an interesting interview. Yeah, Max Kaiser. I mean, he really boosted El Salvador. I mean, El Salvador. I mean, nothing against that country. I've never been there, but it's not really, what maybe Daniela should have said. How come all the major central banks outside the West are buying gold and not Bitcoin? That's what I would have asked him. Anyway, take care, everyone. Bye.